Hey guys, gals, and MPs, here today with the Hologram Electronics Chroma Console, and it is definitely a thing, and I mean that in the best way possible. I am more than happy with it. It is pretty amazing, so I'll just get that out of the way. First things first, I bought this with my own money. I know that Hologram Electronics, or you should know that Hologram Electronics sent me the microcosm at no charge, but I liked it so much that I went with the Chroma Console. They gave me the option to get a free pedal, and obviously I chose the one that I wanted that was more expensive than the other one. So, obviously. But this thing is amazing to the point where it's actually taken the generation loss out of the picture, to the point where I actually just sold the generation loss this week. This does the lo-fi effect exactly the way I want it, with minimal fuss. You just don't have to mess with it, and it does so much more. So instead of talking about it, how about we just get into it? I'm going to use the Akai MPC Key 37. When I did my little video on the Key 37 here, I said how useful it is for my music, and that just scratches the surface. This thing has become beyond useful. The Hype synth in here is one of my favorite soft synths I've ever heard, and it's in hardware, so don't have to worry about, getting distracted by shiny things on a computer when I have this instead. I made a pad here. I call it the Dead Mall pad, obviously to have that vaporwave aesthetic. It sounds like this. I have it set to mono so we can hear what everything's doing. This is technically not in bypass. Now it is, but yeah. Really vaporwavy. I really like it. Awesome. But we're going to use this to spice it up, and this is going to be used as kind of our pseudo reverb, because this thing is absolutely beautiful as a pitch shifting reverb. Let's before we get into it, let's hear what that patch sounds like, just the reverb alone. Just amazing. This has made me sell a bunch of other pedals too. The Chase Bliss Mood is now out of the picture as well, because I just like this so much. Yeah. So that said, let's go over the cool stuff it can do. It's not going to be super exhaustive of a video. There is the the secret weapons or whatever it is, the pedal demo that's like 2 hours long. I watched it on the side of playing Splatoon the other day and just going over what this thing can do. That's a very good video. I'd highly recommend you check that video out if you want a deep dive of what this thing will do. I'll link it. So yeah, I have nothing engaged right now, and it is in bypass, so it should sound exactly the same. Right, but let's start with our first module. I have all the volume settings and everything set the way I want it for this synth in particular. You're going to have to mess with that. There's an auto volume setting in here that'll match the settings correctly for your input volume level. It's really cool, but yeah, I didn't want to mess with that and then have it ruined before the video. But our first character module is Drive, and I should also say that you have a sensitivity setting here. I have it set to it's a secondary setting. It's set to about where I like it for this synth's output, at about this volume level, so it won't clip the input or the output. But yeah, in its first form, in its face value, without going into a submenu, it's an EQ. So let's do that. Let me turn this off. You hold to turn off a character module or any of the modules like movement, diffusion. But here. Oh, I guess the tilt EQ only works with the drive module. Okay, scratch that. So here, we'll do it just with the drive. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you can make your drive sound a lot better and things like that, which we'll use it on my favorite one, which is Sweden, which is the next one. Okay, off. It adds this lovely saturation and compression to it. It's just really nice. I like it about there. Let's listen to the whole range. brings out so much texture in a patch. All right, so fuzz. I generally hate fuzzes, especially digital fuzzes. Not the case here. This is absolutely fantastic for like post rock and things like that, and that ambient, like grungy ambient style that you can get from it. And I actually see myself using it, which I've never said about a fuzz before, at least on a pedal. Like maybe in a plugin form for post processing, but yeah, this is pretty cool. And then there's howl. It's it's like basically for the furries. So you switch it over to howl. It's a really aggressive fuzz, I think, with like a bunch of harmonic peaking in it. So yeah, we got that. Swell, I'm not going to go over. It's just like an auto swell, and it doesn't really work that well on a synth, at least in my opinion. And you really don't need it on a synth because you have an envelope. Good on guitar, though. All right, so we went over that. I'm going to make sure to go back to sweeten because we're going to make a patch at the very end of this and hear how I like to use it. So let's get... So to turn off just the character module, we're going to hold. And now let's go over to the movement module. And this one, I think I have it set to the vibrato, which is my favorite one in it. But I like the pitch shifting too. Let's start with the doubler. And the rate basically changes how it's like a reel-to-reel doubler. Just think of it like the Strymon Deco, but a little weirder per se. And you have a drift parameter on all the other, these two sections of modules. And if you can hear, you get a stereo spread. I like doubler a lot too. And I can go into a secondary menu and set the drift, and we'll do that. So to do that, we press these two buttons here. And the nice thing here is if you see on the silk screening here, it says secondary control, so you never have to reach for the manual. So we do that. I'm actually not reaching. I'm going to try not reach for the manual at all. All right, so now we're in secondary functions, and we can set the drift. So drift all the way down, you get a little indication there of what it's set to, which is pretty cool. I love the UI. You get pitch irregularities on the highest setting. I like it about there. And be very careful. When you get out of this menu, you just have to tap both buttons again. If you hold, it's really nice. It resets all of your secondary parameters, but be aware that it'll reset all of your secondary parameters. So click, and now we're going to go to my favorite, which is the vibrato. And we have a lot of drift enabled, so let's go in there and turn the drift down. Going back into the drift parameter. That gives us a stereo spread as well. I think that's actually what it does in this mode, so yep. Fantastic. We'll turn the drift down right now, and then we'll get out of this menu, and we'll go down to the phaser. Really good sounding phaser. And then I'm not sure what the drift does. Oh, I think it's your wave shape. Potentially. We'll just go with that. All right. Let's go to the tremolo. Not a big fan of tremolos, but whatever. That gives you stereo spread and some other stuff, I guess. Nothing more to talk about that. So the doubler, the vibrato, and now onto the pitch of my favorite ones on there. I like them all, those three in particular. Phaser and tremolo, not so much. But yeah, pitch, doubler, vibrato, absolutely awesome. Let's get back out. Let's go to pitch. Pitch is really nice. It is it's a janky sounding pitch shifter, kind of like a POG or something like that. So think of the EHX POG, but built a hell of a lot better. With a foot switch that won't randomly just disintegrate on you like EHX pedals, huh? But yeah. Amounts of wet dry would mix on this, even if you have this fully wet, I believe. Yep, it is. And it can do intervals to a full pitch, down and up. So full octave up and down, and then you can do like a fifth, which is... Very cool. I love that. And the drift parameter makes it more lo-fi. So let's bring this up. So yeah, really cool. All right. Let's turn this to the vibrato the way I like it for the patch we're going to make at the end of this. So let's go back to vibrato. I like it about... Oh, we have our drift parameter almost exactly. All right. Awesome. We'll keep that. Let's turn this off. Now diffusion, obviously, because I love time-based effects like delay and reverb. It is one of my favorite sections of this. Well, I like janked up modulation, like taped saturation and modulation. So texture is also a favorite, but diffusion's awesome. So let's go on that. Cascade is like multiple, I think, BBD style delays, and it has stereo spread. And you have tap tempo, and the time knob sets your time division for that, and you can also MIDI sync this. I'm not MIDI syncing right now. I'll make a video in the future where I do. But amount sets your feedback and the depth, kind of. It's an all-in-one thing, and it'll self-oscillate. And most of the range sounds fantastic. You can set the effects volumes on each of these, but again, I don't want to change that. And I think... I don't remember what drift does in this mode. Let's find out. I think it might... The manual to this thing is absolutely wonderful, just like the microcosm, but I think it might add some grit and stuff to it. I'm not 100% sure. Let's look at this. I brought out the manual. I said I wasn't going to. Increases pitch modulation and adds a degree or degradation to the repeats, if I could read. So... Oh yeah, it adds vibrato. I was going to say pitch vibrato, but that's what vibrato is. So let's bring that down. I like that one. It is really nice. Let's get it out of this. Let's go to reels, and obviously by the name, that's a tape delay. With pitch modulation, of course, and with the drift parameter on reels, yeah, it's the same thing. It adds some pitch and stability. Let's try it. add some weird flutter. I like that. All right. Let's, we're going to go ahead and keep the reels for the last patch, but we still have some other things to go through here. Let's go to space. That's your reverb. And what does space do really quick? Into pitch modulation. It's always the pitch modulation. I'm just kidding. So, yeah, let's do that. So, this is your reverb. And this is wet and dry mix. This effect in particular will go fully wet. Even though the mix is fully wet here, it is not fully wet. There is a dry signal that it goes through some of the effects chain. So you don't get chorusing. That's a good way to do it when you get to the broken and cassette mode. But yeah. Pretty okay reverb. Not my favorite, but that's why we have the microcosm over here. But yeah. I don't know. I can't really hear what that's doing. The drift, I mean. There's a little bit of movement to it, not a lot. It's there. Again, that's not you. I wouldn't get this just for the reverb, obviously. I would get it for so much more. Now, one of the other ones that is amazing is the collage mode, and that's very similar to the mosaic mode on this, but it's a little more random. So let's hear that. All right, it's not doing the mosaic thing yet, but how we do that is with the drift. All right. Let's keep it like that for a second, and let me add some stereo spread to it so you can hear what I mean with how good this one can actually sound. I love it. I think I'm going to use collage a lot on this. So vibrato is going to bring it into a stereo spread, and then we'll bring it into collage. All right, yeah, it is pretty damn cool. So let's go ahead and turn off the vibrato, and let's go back into the drift parameter, turn the drift parameter down, exit out of that, go over to the reverse. The reverse is really awesome. The reverse literally only does like one repeat, so it's pretty cool. I guess it's doing some kind of pitch shifting too. Oh. And it can go fully wet. And drift, what does drift do in this mode? Pitch modulation, of course. That's a much better effect with something that's not a pad. Maybe we'll do that in a future video. All right, let me bring down the drift parameter. Let me go ahead and exit out of this menu. We're going to go into Cascade. Whoops, sorry. Now we're going to go into real. Nice long time. Yeah, that's nice. All right, whoops. Let's go back. I didn't hold down again, so we're going to go back, and now we're going to add the texture module. No drift parameter on this. This just is pretty straightforward. You have a filter. Oh, sorry. Got to go over to the filter. So your post everything filter, if you really wanted. I really wouldn't waste a filter on what all the other stuff it can do. Then you have squash, which is a compressor. And then let's go to my favorite 3, and that is cassette. Get that generation loss vibe, but a lot easier to dial in for what I like. And then you have broken, which is, yeah, it's something else. And again, I mean that in the most amazing way. Watch. We're going to use the broken in the final patch, but let's go in. Interference is really cool too. It has like this, okay, so I don't know if, I'm guessing a good fair bit of you are old enough to remember DATs and ADAT and stuff like that. Especially like the Sony DAT recorders. If your tapes got overstretched and nasty, you would get DAT dropouts, and that kind of has that sound to it, along with like analog interference at the same time. It's like the weirdest thing. Yeah, you get those jitters. You get that DAT style jitter, but you also get analog like hiss. Can always go subtle. I hate subtle pedals though. I'm kind of on the idea that if a pedal's going to do something, it should be as non-transparent as possible, right? It's like, what's the point of having it if it's like, oh, another transparent drive? Ooh. But yeah, interference, they're all cool. All 3 of those are really, really fantastically cool. All right, so we're going to use broken for this. So let's do this. Let's go into broken. What about there? All right, so we're going to turn it off for now. Let's bring in sweeten. Vibrato. Again, as you saw, I already have them set the way I want them for this patch. Reels. And then broken. Awesome, right? Now let's add the microcosm in. Maybe a little less broken. Got Gotta be careful there. I heard some clipping. At least my input isn't clipping. That should be my gain stage post recorder, so should be able to fix that in post. But yeah, really cool. Let's try that with the Cascade, or I'm sorry, the Collage, and with a bunch of drift on it. Bring in the reverb again. Gorgeous, right? I love it. Freaking love that. All right, so yeah, that's basically the I was in secondary mode. Whoopsie. But yeah. Really easy to use. You get used to it. I've only had it for about it hasn't even been a full week, and I've already learned most of its ins and outs. I have to remember what the drift parameter does on some of the diffusion settings. But other than that, you can just kind of listen to it. You don't really need to know. If it sounds good, just use it, right? I was just looking at the awesome manual, by the way, but to really explain what it was doing. But if you're sitting down and making songs with this, do you really need to know what the drift parameter is technically doing? To explain it to somebody, but again, if you're just making music, not so much. You can just go by the sound of it, of course. So yeah, I love it. It's a very good pedal just to explore textures with. It's like something that the Microcosm is just well paired with, because the Microcosm isn't your the secret. It's the Secret Weapons demo. I think the guy that runs that channel, or the individual that runs that channel, said something about this being a very sterile pedal and not having much in the way of texture, and then you add the Chroma Console to it. I'm going to agree with that. It really does add that, but I don't really think that, personally, I don't think this is sterile. This just doesn't have very much texture generating capabilities, where this absolutely does. So yeah, it is great. I love it. Let's try one more thing. Let's go over here. Let's choose a different plugin here. Let's use my favorite, the piano, on this. But oh man, the Hype is such a good synth. Let's bring that down a little. All right, let's edit it. Let's go to my favorite, the Bechstein upright. And let's use the stretch tuning. Let's make this soft. Whoops, not clunk, soft. All right, let's bring down the reverb. Let's bring down the delay. Let's add some release to it because I don't have a pedal connected. We'll just pretend this has some amazing new metal in the soundboard that makes it sustain forever. I guess if you're using the pedals on an upright like this, you'll get a pretty high sustain anyway. Never mind. God, I love that piano. Let's bring it up. All right, and then let's bring this in really quick, what we did earlier, so you can hear it on something that's a little less pad-like. I love that. It's amazing. And then we add the Microcosm into that. Let's use everybody's favorite, which is the mosaic. Amazing. So much fun. It'll definitely be usable in my music. Obviously not in that. That's the extreme settings. But you just give it a little bit and it's just wonderful. I mean, we could try just a little bit. Oh, I'm in... Yeah, so pretty cool. Let's hear that reverse now with something that's less pad-like. So I'm going to turn off all the other modules except diffusion. We'll go into the reverse. There we go, much better. Guess, yeah, that pitches it up as well. Oh, I didn't notice that before. Okay, that's even more useful. Wow. Okay. And then you can go fully wet on it, of course. But if you're pitching up, I think it's nice to like have obviously a bunch of dry in there too. Because then you get that. Let's add a texture module to that too. But subtle. Alright, we're going to bring that back in. This should sound beautiful. Let's use that one instead. God, it's so good. It's so good. All right, let's add the, this is where you can really hear. I'm going to turn these. Oh, that's going to get into a different mode. We don't want to do that. Oops, I just went into texture mode. There we go. So let's get out of this. So let's turn off this one. Don't hold things down in combinations unless you know what they do, because you can mess up your preset. Yeah, the sweeten. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because you can really hear the compression and the saturation on this one, and it's just gorgeous. Turned way up. And then you darken that. And then you bring in the doubler. Let's bring in the doubler on that one. There we go. Let's bring down the drift parameter. We'll bring it up just a little. Let's bring in reels, shall we? Let's bring in reels. bringing down the drift there. All right. Yeah, so you can hear clearly why I love this thing so much. I'm going to go back to Cascade really quick. That sounds really cool on piano. Are we in Cascade? I can't tell. Nope. Now we're in Cascade. Let's bring up the tap time a lot. Bring in some crappy modulation. Not crappy in the terms of the quality of it, but it's supposed to sound crappy, like a broken something. I'd say that's broken tape, right? But let's bring in interference. All right, well, we're already up to past a half an hour, and yeah, so I think I'm going to cut this video, and yeah, it is absolutely everything I could have hoped for. It is probably the best multi-effect I've ever owned, and I've owned quite a few, and it's just simple to do, and pretty much all the effects in there are super high quality, and most of them I would use. Like I said, maybe not the tremolo or the phaser. Hal is a little... I wish Hal was good because, you know, reasons, but it ain't. For what I like to do, it's a little too harmonic-y. I guess it sounds lovely on guitar, though. Maybe on a piano sample, but we're not going to get into that now. I'm going to cut this short and basically say, well, cut this long, but I'm going to cut it off here, that it is a fantastic pedal. I am super stoked and glad that I bought it because it has replaced quite a few pedals I've just had that I only bring out occasionally. But then it has stuff in here that is just super unique, like the collage mode and the textures. Like interference and broken just sound a lot better than what I could do on the previous, at least in my opinion, best lo-fi modulation pedal I had, which was the Generation Lost Mark II. And this just does better and easier. It is just one knob to bring those in. Yeah, you don't have all that much flexibility over it, but like the whole knob range sounds decent enough to bring into something. So yeah. All right. That said, thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content and you're not subscribed to me yet, why don't you subscribe? And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.